but you won't catch me out. Na 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 na. Love that there's a real sense of depth. It starts off being like, this is an album about what happened, but what happened in here was actually far more important. Hello, welcome to this video. My name's Dan, aka Lucin. I'm a music producer, singer, songwriter, person, and today I'm going to be reacting to Paramore's brand new album, This Is Why. Let's go. Paramore is obviously like a band that goes back to my childhood. Like, they were like a centerpiece of me and my emo friends' music listening. I was never like a big Paramore guy, but like obviously Misery Business was one of those songs that just kind of soundtracked every single party that we had as teenagers. My friends could 100% it on Guitar Hero. It was like that kind of, it was that era. But like since then I haven't like listened to their earlier stuff, but I really liked like a few of the albums in between, like After Laughter. I really loved that whole thing. My friend Ash got me really into that album. Bits and bobs of Paramore I've now heard since, and they seem to have had this evolution from like, you know, noughties rock into like more of like a kind of pop. There was marimba for a big part of that era. They've morphed, you know. But yeah, so I'm excited to see what they've got for this album. I've only listened to this Is Why, the lead track. Haven't listened to any of the rest of them, so yeah, cool. I'm very excited about that. But before we get started, if you are new to the channel and you really like reactions that dig into the lyrics, dig into the meanings behind the songs, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you are already a subscriber and you like to follow my content, then consider going over to Patreon and supporting me even further. You can watch all my videos without any edits. You can actually watch this video completely unedited right now. It's up. Click on the link, as well as getting videos early and requesting songs from me. So without any further ado, let's get on to this reaction. Yeah. Ba-dum, ba-dum. So now I've got that stuck in my head. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Paramore fans, you know what I'm singing. So this is the first song. This is Why. I have heard this one, but let's dig into it together. I actually love this song. It's very like relatable, like post-pandemic relatable vibes in it. I was listening to a podcast recently about Paramore's latest output, and I'm not super familiar with new wave. Apparently, there's a bit of that here, I've heard. I love it. Maybe you should just shut the fuck up. It's kind of outwardly looking at like kind of Twitter culture, I think. This is why I don't leave the house. Oh, This is why. This is such a good song. And I love the juxtaposition between the verse and the chorus. It's like very smooth, and then like proper. It's like that, you know, it's that thing. This is why. But you won't catch me out. This is why. It's those guitars like have so much kind of like the syncopation in the guitar is like really ascending me. And this is why. Yeah, there's almost like there's an agoraphobia, isn't there, you know? Like going outside anymore isn't just as simply as walking outside. You gotta face the kind of weight of the world. But actually the irony in it is that the weight of the world is now in your home. It's on Twitter, it's online, you know? I don't leave the house. This is why you don't catch me out. Why? Yeah, I love that song. It's so good. Like for me, that like pulls together like a bit of the earlier sound of Paramore, because there's a bit of that kind of noughties pop rock energy with the distorted guitars and the attitude in it. But like rhythmically, tempo wise, it is definitely an evolution of their kind of pop side. I can hear shades of After Laughter in that song, definitely. And then also there's this kind of new wave thing. So new wave is that kind of genre that was in the early 80s, from what I understand, that kind of defines like an alternative use of synths, but also like the way in which the guitars and stuff are used is also part of new wave. Apparently it's like this really weird broad thing that no one really understands what it is, but I think it's in the chorus. It's the it's that's the chanting nature of that is very much like part of what that genre kind of gave us. So it's an interesting kind of like evolution of Paramore, but still retains core Paramore DNA. Super catchy, super rhythmic. I love the meaning of the song. This is why I don't leave the house. To say the coast is clear, but you will catch me out. Oh, why? This is why. What is why? Let's look at the lyrics. This is why I won't leave the house. You say the coast is clear, but you won't catch me out. Oh, why? That's a really good key for me. If you have an opinion, maybe you should shove it, or maybe you could scream. It might be best to keep it to yourself. See, for me, that is like, I don't know whether I'm right about this, but that is indicative of like Twitter culture, right? People shouting and screaming their opinion online, but actually thinking you should actually just keep that shit to yourself. This is why I don't leave the house. You say the coast is clear, but you won't catch me out. Oh, why? This is why. Better have conviction, because we want crimes of passion. Survival of the fittest. You're either with us or you can keep it to yourself. It's like, it doesn't matter the actual depth and reality of the situation. We just want the story. That's kind of what a crime of passion is, isn't it? It's almost like something that people like, you know, look at and kind of venerate because it's like, oh, they did it for love. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm drawing like kind of comparisons with the ways in which politicians, maybe people online, kind of do terrible things, but kind of almost do it like with so much passion that people fall for it. Maybe that's kind of what they're getting at. One step beyond your door, might as well have been a free fall. One step beyond your door, falling down an endless hall, and I'm floating like a cannonball. I love that, floating like a cannonball. Not at all. There's a real sense of like that weight. I think is a kind of emotional weight of leaving the house. It's almost like you can't leave the house nowadays without some huge world event, without some, and I feel like it's just like a scream out. It's just like the pressure of the situation, and Hayley and the band are just like, this, I just want to live my life. Cool. Okay, let's go on to the next song. This is The News. So I feel like that might be the theme, right? We've got a song called The News. Oh. Okay. Nice. Okay. So we're talking about war. Oh God. Right behind my eyes. I love the mixture of like freneticism and smoothness that was in the previous song and is here as well. They're definitely embracing the pop rock thing. I think that's quite savvy considering the revival of pop rock over the last few years. Right, shut your eyes but it won't go away. Cool. It's more about the heaviness of the weight of the world, isn't it? Love the cowbell. I love this section. Turn off the news. Yeah. I can certainly relate to this feeling. For a while, we were all had our eyes glued to the news every single day. And it got to a point where it was just like, I just need to find some escape from the weight of what is going on in the world, you know?
All along, we called it normal.
Oh, cool. Yeah. It's almost like kind of just accepting bad behaviour like it's just normal human behaviour and just giving a pass. And now we've got to this point where like we have a lot of people in power who are awful people, you know? Oh, that's a powerful message, I think, like, and something that like I think we can all relate to, especially like after the last few years. It felt like it was just one thing after another. Like in the US it was like Trump, then we had Brexit here, but then obviously we then had COVID and that was just a nightmare. And then, you know, the Ukraine war. It just feels like every single year there's some heavy, big, catastrophic thing going on in world politics, you know, or even, you know, with the earthquakes in Turkey this week. Awful shit. And I'm sure that we can all relate to that feeling of just being like, I just need to turn off the news because I can't cope with the weight of the world. Yeah, I need to escape. But then there's this real freneticism where, and she says that like I close my eyes but it doesn't shut off the news. It's all playing behind my eyes. It's almost like you can't escape the news, you can't escape it. And that's kind of what the frenetic energy of that song is giving me, is this sense of like trying to run away, trying to escape the news and not being able to. It's like really anxious feeling, you know. And maybe like Hayley's like process for writing this album was getting those feelings out, you know? Because both these songs so far have that kind of anxious, frenetic kind of thing, and talk about like not being able to deal with the world, you know, and trying to escape from the world. War. Yeah, I mean, to start a song with war, I think is like pretty strong. Like, I think that's kind of what I really like about this album so far, is it's very striking, it's very to the point, you know. I mean, Paramore have always been like that, you know. A war on the far side, on the other side of the planet, and I've got a war right behind my eyes. Well, presumably referring to the Ukraine war, depending on when this was written. Right between them, just like a headache. So I turn off the news. Every second our collective heart breaks, yeah. Oh, that's really, yeah. Altogether, every single head shakes. Shut your eyes, but it won't go away. Turn on, turn off the news. It's like, like we've got our eyes peeled back and it's just going on, off, on, off. It's that energy. Yeah. Wow. Far from the front line, quite the opposite. I'm safe inside, but I worry and I give money and I feel useless behind this computer. Yeah, that's very much like a reference towards like how we all felt during lockdown and stuff. You know, we can't do anything with ourselves, you know, and that's just barely scratched the surface of my mind. So I turn on the news to try and connect to the outside world, but I end up turning off the news right away because it's too much. There's so much frustration in this, isn't there? Exploitative, performative, informative, and we don't know the half of it. Rhetorical, deplorable, historical, and all along we called it normal. So she's looking back at maybe the history of the news and the way in which like it's like almost like informed us but maybe controlled us, you know? And it's like you can't escape the power of something like the news, you know? It's like controlling information is like a huge part of human society. I really love the depth in this, and there's some really cool lyrics as well. Let's go on to the next one. This is Running Out of Time. There's such an attitude, even every single instrument, you know? Well, didn't wanna show up to the party empty-handed, but ran out of time. Yeah. Ooh, I love the rhythm in this. The mixing on it is interesting. There's something quite boomy about it, but I quite like that, actually. Love smoothness. Yeah. Just a selfish prick. Nice. She's questioning her own morality, I guess, isn't she? And using running out of time as an excuse for all these things, you know, that she doesn't do. I was just so tired. Crashed my car otherwise. Would have been here on time. Yeah, excuses, isn't it? Intentions only get you so far. There's a real internal reflection here where she's like looking back at like all the excuses that she's made for stuff and like, yeah, and like actually criticizing herself for it. Also, love the call and response stuff. She's always running out of time. It's like her friends being like, yeah, she's never had any time for us, you know. Ooh. God, the drums are so tight, aren't they? There's something about like really well recorded live drums that just really tickle my pickle, as I say. She's always running out of time. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I really enjoyed that sense of like excuses, and then having the call and response and the friends being like, yeah, she's always running out of time. It's like she's writing this song to kind of be like, yeah, I'm a twat, I'm a bit of a prick. And I guess like the internal reflection stuff, they're looking at the stuff you do wrong and whatever, was kind of a lockdowny kind of, you know, we've all done a lot of that over the last few years, so I can see that's kind of where maybe Hayley's head's at. She's in a self-critical place. It's like self-criticism with the context of like bigger things happening at the same time, you know? I think she'd even be critical of herself for even doing that, you know, when there are more important things to worry about, you know? That's the vibe I'm getting of this, yeah. My hair is just not behaving today. Said I was going to take some flowers to my neighbour, but I ran out of time. Didn't want to show up to the party empty-handed, but I ran out of time. Said I walked the dog a little further than the driveway tonight. The extra mile. Thought I'd send a card with my condolences, but damn, I just ran out of time. Yeah. See, that's a bit heavier, you know, than just not taking the dog for a long walk, you know. But damn, I just ran out of time. Intentions only get you so far. What if I'm just a selfish prick? No regard, I'm always running out of time. Never mind, I just hit the snooze on my alarm 20 times. Yeah, I was just so tired. So there's like a sense of like being burnt out as well. She's not necessarily just looking at herself and thinking, I'm a prick, but also thinking, actually, there's things outside of myself that are burning me out. You know, the news, for instance. That is like the reason why I'm hitting my snooze on my alarm 20 times. And it's like, I'm running out of time, and therefore that's now reflecting on other people, you know? There was traffic, spilled my coffee, crashed my car, otherwise I would have been here on time. All these excuses, you know? Shoulda, coulda, wouldn't matter, ultimate alibi. You know it's a lie. There was a fire, metaphorically. I'll be there in 5, hyperbolically. I love that. So good. This is great. This is like a really, really nicely written song. Like, there's so much kind of like clever interplay between the excuses and the reality of it. It's very like funny. There's a lot of kind of like tongue-in-cheek nature to like all these excuses, but it's very knowing, you know. It's kind of self-deprecating, but also then there is that kind of underlevel of like this feeling of being burnt out, you know. Let's go on the next one. This is C'est comme ça. I don't know French, so I let the funky music do the talking. I like the big guitar moments. That's a good hook, isn't it? I love that this feels like a fusion of old and new Paramore, you know?
My social life, a chiropractic appointment. Still enough for you to atrophy to hell.
I'm obsessed with that. That's sick. There's so much kind of like, you know, it's like, you know.
I run on spite and sweet revenge. It's my
I went on spite and sweet revenge. She sounds like somebody who's like snooty, like looking their nose down at people, you know. Na 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 na. I love it. Doing a lot of knee drumming today. Hot dice, love it. I love the pulse and the like this feeling in the guitar. It's like really gone a long way to really give it like a sense of motion, you know. Na 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 na. I love that as well. Love it. The feeling of the motion, the feeling of the push and pull is like key to that song. I love like the way in which it kind of has a lot of like big moments and then has like a lot of quiet moments where she like instantly brings it back. That push and pull is really, really cool. C'est comme ça, na 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 na. I love the bit where she was talking about like my social life is the chiropractor appointment. Like there's so much kind of like it's dripping in like sass and like kind of this kind of snooty energy, isn't it? Like those spoken word bits. Let's look at the lyric. C'est comme ça, na 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 na. I don't know what that means. Let's Google it. That's just the way it is. C'est comme ça, na 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 na. In a single year, I've aged 100. 2020. My social life, a chiropractic appointment. Sit still long enough to listen to yourself, or maybe just long enough for you to a trophy to hell. So there's a real kind of sense of like the aging that the world events have like put upon her. Everything's changed, you know. She feels like she's aged 100 years in a single year. Her social life is now just going to go into the chiropractor. Sit still long enough to listen to yourself. You know, it's like that's kind of what happened to all of us, and it's kind of had its effect on her. But then C'est comme ça, it's just like that's just the way it is, whatever. There's a sense of like she's kind of like arguing against her own moaning. It's almost like she has this feeling of like if she's moaning about something, she feels bad about it, so has to kind of undercut it with some kind of like tongue-in-cheek, jokey kind of hook. You know, but I love the sense of like realism and the connection that you get to her as a person and her personality through that, you know. I'm off caffeine on doctor's orders, said it was going to help out my hormones. Lucky for me, I run on spite and sweet revenge. I don't need coffee. It's my dependence on the friction that really hinders my progression. This is really like looking at her psyche, almost like the need for drama. Maybe looking back at her life and seeing that she needs drama. She's causing drama to kind of keep going, you know. There's like a sense of that, you know. I hate to admit that getting better is boring, but the high cost of chaos, who can afford it? So she loves the chaos, she loves the drama, but after the pandemic, she's taken a lot of looking inward, and maybe she's kind of therapizing and trying to kind of see, you know, is there a way of me actually kind of getting better out of this and having a simpler life? But she's kind of worried that it's just going to be too boring for her. If I don't have the chaos in my life, will I be happy? If I don't have the chaos in my life, will I be able to create art? You know, c'est comme ça, na 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 na. That's such a good hook. Okay, let's go on the next one. This is Big Man, Little Dignity. Ooh, it's sounding a bit Björk, isn't it? Sounding very Björk. No, it's not.
Stare at you from across the room. It's like I'm going to get away with anything, so that's exactly what you do.
You could get away with anything, so that's exactly what you do. It's put someone in a position of power. Yeah. I like there's a bit more smoothness to this song. This feels like it could be directed towards a political figure, probably Donald Trump. I mean, I don't know, like, maybe we're a bit past that now. But that's the energy I'm getting. That's what I think of.
The subscription to redemption has been renewed. You get in the shit-stained suit.
Yeah. Maintaining your reputation despite all the fact that you have absolutely no dignity or integrity. You don't care who you step on. You don't care about what the actual truth is. All you care about is reputation. Little dignity. Keep on thinking the end is going to be different, but you keep on winning. See, that's exactly how I felt like, especially like 2016, 2017, like thinking that like kind of the things that I believed in and that I believe were important were going to win out, but they didn't, you know. I love the woodwind that's in this. It's kind of like slightly incongruous, but really beautiful level of warmth it adds to it, you know. That one's a little bit more like solemn, I think, and it's like kind of takeaway. Love the use of instruments in that one. Like, feel like it's definitely continuing the vibe of the album, right? But having that extra layer of adding the woodwind stuff, like the kind of the warmth, the fullness. It was very much, you know, like Björk's album for Sora was like focused on those instruments, like the warmth and the depth of like low clarinets and stuff. It was very much giving me those sounds. Yeah, it kind of added like a little bit more of a solemn feeling to it, didn't it? You know, whereas like the other ones have been a bit like a bit more attitudey, a bit more punky. Kind of like I'm fed up. The weight of what we've been talking about so far on the album has kind of got to her in this song, you know, and it seems to be centered around probably Trump, I'd imagine, especially in terms of like America as well. Like, I can't think of anybody else who would like fit that description more, you know. I don't mean to stare at you from across the room. It's like I'm glued to the sheer sight of you, and you're so smooth it's pitiful. No, you could get away with anything, so that's exactly what you do. She kind of admits to the power that he has over people, because she is kind of caught in that as well, just like glued to the sheer sight of you, you know. It's almost like staring at something gross, you know. It's like that's kind of the feeling, you know. It's like more like morbid fascination. Big man, little dignity. No offense, but you got no integrity. Your subscription to redemption has been renewed. Oh my god. Keep your head high, smooth operator in a shit-stained suit. That's sick. See, she could be talking about pretty much all of that kind of cult of powerful men in America, well, and across the world. Maybe actually she's talking about a music exec then, because she's talking about being in the same room as them. Maybe that's like more what this is about. It's this thing that they have so much power that they have the subscription to redemption has been renewed. Like, they can find redemption no matter what they've done. Smooth operating a shit stain. I love that. That's such a good metaphor. Like, I keep thinking the end is going to be different, but you keep on winning. Oh, that's so good. Powerful men fucking the world, basically. I really love that she's admitting her kind of morbid fascination with these men, like a movie that you just can't stop watching, and hoping that it's going to change. I feel like we can all relate to that, especially in terms of politics, you know. Let's go on to the next song. This is You First. Okay, we're going rock. This has an insistence to it, doesn't it? Like it's very like a bit like.
It's not my kind of revenge. Can't shake the devil sitting on my shoulder. You're straight animal, I keep it.
I love all these moments, the little breakdown moments.
Give it my energy, and it keeps on coming. Everyone is already comes for you first.
I hope karma comes for you first, so I can see your demise, you know.
The killer and the final girl, so and it keeps on coming. Animal, I keep feeding.
Love that.
Everyone is a bad guy.
Hayley Williams definitely has a magnetism, doesn't she? The way that she performs, the attitude that she has in her voice and her vocal performance just elevates everything. It just gives it attitude and it gives it edge, you know?
Never said I wasn't petty. You can bet I don't regret it for a second. It's
Nice.
never said I
Love this.
I'll do better. Comes for you first.
Nice. Hope she comes for you first. It's kind of continuing this conversation between Hayley and the people that she kind of derides, you know, looking at like people who she thinks deserve shit and saying karma's going to come for all of us, but I hope it comes for you first. Like, I hope I get to be there to see you fail. Like, and it is pay, and she says it. She's like, I never said I wasn't pay. She's really going in on the attitude, you know. Living well is not my kind of revenge. You should take it from me. Living well is just a privilege. Thought I'd simmer down as I got older. Can't shake the devil sitting on my shoulder who invited you. So she's kind of talking about her own need for drama, revenge. Just like a stray animal, I keep feeding scraps. I give it my energy and it keeps on coming back just like a stray animal. So she's kind of digging into that psyche thing. Everyone is a bad guy and there's no way to know who's the worst. Karma's going to come for all of us, and I just hope she comes for you first. I think in this song she's admitting that maybe she thinks she is a bad person too, and maybe thinking that karma's going to come for her, but she's hoping that maybe she's good enough that it will come for the people that she thinks is bad and she's not got the wrong end of the stick. Do you know what I mean? Turns out I'm living in a horror film where I'm both the killer and the final girl. So who are you? I think she thinks that she might have been able to grow out of this, but maybe she's starting to realise that it's just who she is. Maybe she's just got to learn to live with it, you know, that side of herself. Right, let's go on to the next one. This is Figure 8. It's Infinity. Ooh, different sounding synth vibe. Woodwind's back. Ooh, I like the production there. It's cool.
Drain me dry.
I love that. To kind of have that, like, going through it is really cool. Nice. Once you get me going, I don't know how to stop. Yeah, it's the Infinity. Nice. Wow. The loop of that guitar riff, I think, is really, like, it keeps on coming back. It's like that idea of like the infinity, you know, the Figure 8 that keeps on coming back. I love that. I wonder what this lyric is about. Ooh. Love that. I love an in-the-room moment for, like, effect. That's a really cool production technique I love. Nice. Yeah, I love that loop. Yeah, and we have that, you know, that clarinet type thing coming back as well. Crazy. I think, like, I'm really enjoying these songs. They're not really completely sending me emotionally, but I am really enjoying the depth in the lyric and the storytelling, if that makes sense. That's where I'm at with this right now. Let's have a look at the lyrics. Drained me dry, down to the last drop, pearls before swine, tapped the last good vein, don't know how to shut it off. Yeah, once you got me going, I don't know how to stop. all for your sake became the very thing that I hate, lost my way, spinning in an endless figure eight. I think like post-pandemic, she's a lot of internal, looking at herself internally, and I think maybe this is the song where it kind of comes together and she kind of can rationalize what's happened, you know? Yeah, but she is admitting that she became the thing that she hated by doing what she's done. Burning at both ends, how could I? Yeah. So she's admitting that actually she can't keep going the way she's going because she's going to burn out. That is real. I think maybe if there's a key phrase for this album, it's burnout. Yeah. If I'm made of thin ice, how could I? You'd be wise if you thought twice. Yeah, there's so much lyrically in this that I'm really appreciating. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is As If Figure 8 was song number 7. Come on. This is Liar. Okay, so we've got like a down-tempo moment. I love the guitar riff.
What was the moment? It's hard to say.
This is a very different feeling. Nice. Oh, I love it. This is nice, yeah. This is my favourite so far, I think, actually. I mean, of course it is. Slower and more melodic. And I love that chord there. Is that Lydian, maybe? Yeah. There's something about those woodwind instruments, because they've only come in the back half of the album, you know.
Love is not awakening if you feel it rushing in.
Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be ashamed to let the love in, yeah. Just accept the love that's coming towards you, you know. I feel like she's really having a bit of a moment of self-reflection. Well, she has obviously reflected quite a lot on herself throughout the album, and she's now kind of finding some lessons, you know, I think. Yeah, I lied to you, but I never needed to. Oh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. The drums in this whole album are actually really clever. You can tell on this album that the drums are written by a drummer, you know, because they're really intricate and really clever, but also never lose the sense of movement within every single song. And actually, there is something about the way that the drums are used throughout the whole album that pulls it all together. That song was actually very different sounds and stuff going on. Her vocal style was very, very, very different delivery on that song, but it's the drums that keep it tied down and make the album feel like a concise piece, you know? I love to produce music that is like part of a set. Like, I've always been into like making albums and making EPs that have a storyline, and that's always something that I try and think about. It's like, where are we going sonically, but also how are we going to make it feel like one thing? Here it's the drums. Loved that one. Really liked that one. Felt like a real moment of like clarity. She's been very kind of like, I don't care what you think of me, on the attack, kind of like attacking other people, attacking the world, kind of raging against the machine, you know, that sense throughout the whole thing. But here she finds a place of vulnerability after having discovered a need for self-reflection, attacking these people and saying that they're all twats and hoping that karma comes to them before they get to her. But actually, throughout all of that, she's actually, am I a bad person? And here it feels like she's realised that she's lied to somebody that she loved, and yet they're still there for her. And I think that maybe giving her a bit more self-worth and maybe saying, I should treat this person better, I should try and change for them, which is really, really beautiful. Let's have a little look at the lyrics. Yeah, I think that was my favourite one so far. What was the moment? It's hard to say. I'm sure I don't remember anyway. Before I knew to hesitate, pin back in the grenade. Yeah, so it's like, she was going to throw the grenade and start off an argument, but she put it back in. And all the ways I'd keep you safe from me. And all my love, I lied to you, but I never needed to. All my love, I lied to you, but you always knew the truth. Really, really simple lyric for the chorus, but oh, so beautiful. I got too good at fighting chemicals and dodging arrows I was asking for, wading through the fog, and then it disappeared, naked when I'm here. And why should I deny what's all at once so crystal clear? Oh, I love this. Love is not an easy thing to admit, but I'm not ashamed of it. Love is not weakening. If you feel it rushing in, don't be ashamed of it. I really appreciate like all the aggression and the attitude in the album, and then having a moment of vulnerability. It's beautiful. It's such a great comparison, and I love the way that she puts the simplicity of the love that she has for this person, and she admits her own faults. They're still with her, they still love her, and she still loves them. It's really gorgeous. Love it. Let's go on to the next one. This is Crave. Ooh. Like the guitar production here, there's some funky filters going on on the guitars, which is cool. Does feel settled again, doesn't it? It feels less aggy, feels less anxious.
Can't wait to memorize this day. Feel trying to savor the moment, so I crave.
Nice.
For a second it all felt simple. So I
The vibes of this one again like feels more settled, and I really like how the album is set up like this, you know, to really build up that tension of the frustration, and then to kind of give you the back half of the album a bit more of a settled place. Yeah, it's nice.
someone who never gave way to the pain.
What is she craving to do it again? Like, yeah,
Present, future, and the past connected.
yeah. Ooh, there's a real depth here that she's discovered, I think. It's more optimistic, isn't it? Like,
Past connected.
yeah.
Crave, do it again, all again.
Yeah, I crave just for a second to do it all again. Maybe there's like this acceptance that like as much as she feels like she's had growth, she knows that there's going to be like temptation to kind of go back to her self-destructive past, you know? But I feel like in understanding it and referencing it, she can therefore kind of combat it, you know? She can understand that that's what's happening and not give in to that craving, that temptation. Yeah, I really like the vibes there. I felt like I lost myself in that one a bit more, you know? I can't wait to memorize this day. Oh, a picture could not contain the way it feels. Oh, you say, live in the present. I'm already dreaming of how it begins and trying to savor the moment. But I know the feeling will come to an end, so I crave to do it all again. Oh, so maybe what she's craving, I don't know, like some perfect day. Maybe looking back and kind of thinking, you know, will my happiness be able to live up to that moment? I felt right in that moment, you know, I wish I could just do it again and just live within that feeling. Maybe it's, yeah, looking back at like a period of time then, because I romanticize even the worst of times when all it took to make me cry was being alive. Looking up and seeing a reflection of someone who never gave way to the pain. What if I told them now that I'm older? There isn't a moment that I'd want to change. Even the way in which things were really hard, she still kind of wouldn't change anything because it's kind of took her to where she is now. Like, it's all part of the parcel. It's this understanding that like nothing's ever going to be perfect all the time, you know? And that's kind of the thing, like the reference to the metaphor in the picture, you know? If it's a picture perfect day, it's perfect forever, but that's not realistic, you know? It was never perfect. There's always going to be ups and downs. And I think that's what she's really understanding and really just accepting, and which is why I think the song sounds so settled and like more optimistic. You know, feel the present, future, and the past connecting. I love that. Yeah. It's a real understanding of looking back and thinking, where am I now? And actually being okay with it, you know? Gorgeous. Right, before we go into the final song, if you haven't yet subscribed, then what are you doing? Obviously, you're watching this whole video. You've got all the way to the last song, so you must be loving it. So make sure to subscribe. I do new reactions every single Friday. Keep an eye out for those. And yep, subscribe. Let's go into the final song. This is Thick Skull.
I am a magnet for broken.
The drums are gone.
Broken people, fingers bleeding, and it looks like
I love that guitar. Very much more intimate sound.
caught red-handed
Red-handed with the blood, you know.
over my head.
Again, very different vocal stylings. Is that Fly? Okay, drums are back. Phew. Oh no, it's the guitar. I love the chromatic moment there.
I'm just a little less scary.
I like this song started off as like really intimate, close to the mic stuff, and then I quite like that there's almost like another version of the song within it, you know. The thing I love most about this song is the chords, like where it goes musically, the harmony. Intimate vocal back. Oh.
I'm coming out with my hands up, hit over the head, score never dead. Fingers are bleeding, caught red-handed.
It's an interesting place to end the album. I kind of thought we'd made a turn, we'd learnt some lessons, there was a bit more of an optimistic thing, and then we have this kind of sulking kind of song, maybe like giving in to the fact that you're a bad person. I don't know, do you know what I mean? Like picking up all the broken pieces of people. It looks like I'm caught red-handed, looks like I've been caught out. I love that imagery, by the way. Let's have a look at the lyrics. I'm intrigued. Yeah, I'm not sure where I stand on like it being the final song though. I don't know, you know, because it's almost like an admission that you can't ever learn anything, you know. I'm a magnet for broken pieces, I'm attracted to broken people, I pick them all up and now my fingers are bleeding and it looks like my fault and it looks like I'm caught red-handed. You know, her like need for drama, her need for, you know, these broken people is almost coming back to bite her in the arse, and it looks like it's her fault because she's the one with blood on her hands, you know? Hit over the head, epiphany, over my head repeatedly, thick skull never did nothing for me. Same lesson again, come on, give it to me. Come out with your hands up, I'm coming out with my hands up. So she is kind of admitting her failings and just laying it all out there, and I think that's kind of like, as much as she feels like she's found a place of growth, she is all kind of like, okay, this is the time for just the skeletons to just come out of the closet and be laid out there for everyone to see. And I think there's a sense of fear and trepidation in doing that. And I think that's what she's kind of ending the album on, which is interesting. But like, maybe it's her doing the thing that the big man with the little dignity never did. And that is admitting your faults. I really love this, like the way in which, right, she's looking at the outside world, she's criticizing people who have done bad things, but then at the same time, throughout the whole thing, she's also kind of looking internally and thinking, am I one of those people? Am I as bad as those people? And I think what she does throughout the album is discover that despite her faults, she isn't as bad as those people, and in the end she does do what those people don't do, admits her faults and comes out with her hands in the air like, I am not a perfect person and do what you will with that information, but that's the truth, you know? And so it's almost like she's looked at these people and learnt from them, you know? I think that's something that we've all done throughout the last few years, is kind of have, been forced to look at ourselves for better or worse. And I think that's happened with her, and the story of it is that she's done that at the same time as looking at other people and then come to some self-realizations in those comparisons. And I think it's really, really, really well done how she expresses that throughout the album, how she expresses that with the different sounds and the way that the mood of the album shifts. It starts off being like, this is an album about what happened, but actually ends up being an album about, yes, that happened, but what happened in here was actually far more important, It's almost like she started the album thinking raging against the machine, raging against the news, and ended the album kind of actually thinking, no, this is the heart of the actual problem. This is why I'm pissed off and angry. It's not the stuff that's going on outside of myself, So I love that there's a real sense of depth, and like there's so much depth to the lyric, there's so much depth to the sound, and like a really fully fleshed journey, Beside all of that, I think as a vibe, there's less catchiness. In terms of like a put in the background listen, I think I probably enjoy like After Laughter more, but I do really, really appreciate the depth in this album, and I think that's what I'm going to take away from it. Also, in the way it's engineered and produced, immaculate. Like, I love the way in which every song feels like it goes to a different place, but it all strings together perfectly. If you were to hear any of these songs in isolation, you would know it would come from this album. That is really, really, really like shows that they're a band who have like mastered the craft of creating an album, you know. Overall, like, as much as like I'm not like mad about like, oh my god, like these songs are insane, I really, really do appreciate the album. I think it's really good. Cool. Thank you so much for tuning into this reaction. I hope that you enjoyed it. Before we go, a quick shout out to my patrons. These guys support me and all the tiers over on Patreon. They get a variety of benefits, and one of the things is getting their name in the video. So this shout out is for them. Thank you so much for supporting me via Patreon. You allow me to do what I do. Right. I will see you next week for another video. I've got a collab coming up next week. Oh yeah. So make sure to check out that. Cool. Bye.